Hi there. Come on in. It is Thursday night, October 21st, 2004. I'm Zachary Trost, and you're tuned in to the fastest half hour of news and information about the outdoors in Michigan. Hunting seasons are in full swing with firearm deer season just 3 weeks away. A big buck night is also just around the corner, and we'll tell you how to get a form for our hunting awards. We have a lot more in this week's Practical Sportsman News, so stay tuned.
From the rugged shores and woodlands of the north, it's history of copper mines and iron ore, the Great Lakes fishery. To the farmlands of the southern counties we'll look around, my friend, at all that waits the sportsman in the state of Michigan. And sometimes when the moon brings out the diamonds in the snow, and the stillness of the forest lies encased in Arctic cold, the wind might whisper through the trees, listen if you can. It tells you of the beauty in the state of Michigan.
The front page headlines on the current issue of the Michigan Outdoor News have an interesting array of information. As field editor Steve Griffin admitted, his story isn't as engaging as beached pods of whales along the seashore, nor as dramatic as lemmings leaping off of a cliff, but it has people in the Grand Haven area scratching their heads just the same. Since September, large numbers of fox squirrels, mixed with a few red and gray squirrels, have been found floating dead in the Grand River or washed ashore on nearby Lake Michigan beaches. The carcasses haven't shown any visible signs of gunshots, injuries, or disease, but the DNR suspects some biological cause, but lab analysis of stomach contents didn't show anything. The concern is that it might be West Nile or squirrel pox, but so far the DNR hasn't found the answer. A DNR biologist said that any species can suffer some die-offs from disease or parasites, especially if there's a fairly large population. He noted that squirrel numbers are quite high in the Grand Haven area, especially in the city and shoreline areas where hunting is limited.
I explained a few weeks ago that when I talk about laws on this show, I'm also including the aspect of ethics, because what's legal and what's ethical don't always match. Now, when I read Marty Kovarik's article in the Michigan Outdoor News about Superior Deer Management's proposal to make all the Upper Peninsula a big buck management area, I saw some legal versus ethical problems with this, and I'm not talking about the regulations themselves. I'm talking about the method that is being used to implement this proposal and set these regulations. Here's the problem. We have three branches of government under the Constitution. Our elected officials in the legislative branch are supposed to make the laws, which are passed on to the employees of the executive branch to carry out and enforce. Now, when it comes to hunting laws, our elected officials have allowed the DNR, which is an executive branch agency, to set regulations on hunting seasons, the limits, methods, and so forth. And when it comes to setting the antler restrictions for deer hunting in a particular management unit, the DNR has turned that lawmaking power over to a public vote. But not everybody gets to vote. Here's how Marty Kovarik explained it in his article. The DNR conducts a survey of landowners and hunters who hunt in the area. At least half of the surveys need to be returned, and at least 66% of the responding hunters and landowners must approve of the plan for it to be sent to the NRC. Kovarik added that the NRC then decides whether to turn the area into a QDM unit or not. But the fact is, the NRC goes with the public vote. Now, this vote has been within each deer management unit up until now, but the DNR is looking at lumping all 18 Upper Peninsula units into one for this QDM vote because it'll save money. Kovarik writes, according to Brian Frawley, DNR research biologist in Lansing, the survey that will decide the fate of hunting in the entire Upper Peninsula will sample 3,000 landowners and hunters. That's all we need for accuracy, Frawley said. We don't really need to sample 10,000 people. According to Frawley, 1,500 landowners will be randomly chosen from private citizens who own 5 acres or more in the Upper Peninsula. Of those 1,500 landowners, some may live outside the UP and even outside of Michigan. Landowners do not have to hunt to be surveyed. In addition, 1,500 hunters will be randomly chosen from the 35 to 40,000 hunters who responded to the Deer Hunter Survey last year and indicated they'd hunted in the UP. Now, the DNR says that only 1,500 of these ballots will have to be returned, and 2/3 of those, that's only 1,000 people in all, could make the UP a trophy buck zone for 5 years. What happened to the legislators we elected? What happened to the so-called scientific management by the professional biologists at the DNR? Why do 1,000 people who nobody knows get to check a box on a survey they receive in the mail and decide the hunting regulations for everybody? They're making laws that all sportsmen have to obey or face a criminal misdemeanor charge. Now, the DNR might say that this random mail survey is a legal way to set regulations, but it doesn't seem ethically right to me to make hunting laws like this. What do you think?
This week's Hall of Fame features Michigan's largest county. It covers 1,800 square miles and is located right here along the southern shore of Lake Superior. It was named after the French Jesuit missionary and explorer Pierre-Jacques Marquette, who came to the area in the late 1600s. Vast deposits of iron ore were discovered in the Ishpeming-Negaunee area in the mid-1800s. And during the Civil War, the population boomed with 48 iron mines supplying the war effort. Iron mining is still a major part of the area's economy. The largest population center in the Upper Peninsula and the county seat is the city of Marquette with 20,000 plus residents. The National Ski Hall of Fame is located in Ishpeming because this was the birthplace of organized skiing in the United States. The first ski jumping tournaments in the country were held in Ishpeming in the late 1800s, and that's where skiers looking for even bigger thrills invented ski flying. Most ski jumps launch skiers 300 to 350 feet, but ski flying at Suicide Hill on Copper Peak launched skiers up to 600 feet in the first ski flying tournament in the Western Hemisphere in 1970. Another area that's become famous is the town of Big Bay on Lake Independence at the northern end of Marquette County. The man who put Big Bay on the map was John D. Volker, a Michigan Supreme Court justice and former prosecuting attorney who wrote several novels. He didn't think it was appropriate for a sitting judge to be a crime novelist, so he used the pen name Robert Traver. His best-selling novel was Anatomy of a Murder, which was based on a true story that took place in Big Bay in 1951. In 1959, the movie version, starring Jimmy Stewart, George C. Scott, and Lee Remick, was filmed almost entirely in Marquette County. The motion picture was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, and it's considered a Hollywood classic. The area is also known for another kind of an award, entries in our Fish and Game Hall of Fame. You'd think this area would produce a lot of big deer and a few fish, but it's just the opposite. With 73 miles of Lake Superior shoreline, over 1,800 inland lakes, and over 4,000 miles of rivers and streams, Marquette County produces a variety of big fish that few counties can match. We're getting down to the bottom of the barrel. Next time, we'll be featuring Antrim County on the Fish and Game Hall of Fame.
Alan Adair from Elsie.
Yep.
Ooh, we got another one of these big spikes. This was 15-inch.
Right.
And for a man who has a shirt on that says Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation there's probably 30 tines there.
I never seen one like that.
Yeah, a spike like this?
Neither that either. Never seen a big spike. I've
I
seen
mean,
small ones, but not big ones.
I know. I think that's cool. It's like a big bluegill or something.
Right.
That is awesome. Did you eat it?
Oh yeah,
Tasty, isn't it?
are real good.
And this is another one of these called a European mount. So how do you hang it, or what do you do with it?
I've got a little hole I made back here and put it on a screw.
You put it on the wall.
Yep.
That is outstanding. I just love these big spikes to death. Alan Adair, congratulations. I love it. Larry Joseph III from Lincoln Park. Boy, this has been a year for the freshwater drum. How about that? And this one was 27 1/4 inches. And that's a good sized one. Got that in the Detroit River. You eat them?
Nope. Right back in.
Never tried them?
Not the drums, no.
No, you can take them and boil the fillets, and they're like that poor man's lobster deal.
Mhm.
They really are.
In butter?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, nothing to it. Just put them in salted water. Just and boil them up and use them with butter or tartar sauce or cocktail sauce. But what were you fishing for in the Detroit River?
Well, we try to get walleye mainly.
Well, now hold it. You walleye fish in September at noon?
We try any time to get walleye.
Well, what's the best time?
I don't really know, to be honest with you. I just go to have fun.
I mean, do you fish at night? That's what I'm wondering.
They're usually early mornings, like right as the light's coming on, or late afternoons as it's getting dark.
But you don't like the all-night stuff?
Not usually, no.
Yeah, that can be kind of a drag.
Excuse me?
What'd you catch it on?
A goby.
A goby?
Yeah, goby. We catch gobies with little tiny worms and little hooks, and then we use those for bigger bait. Put them on ocean hooks and chuck them out to catch the big stuff.
So you do catch walleye in the gobies?
Yeah, you catch
That's
everything
good
on the
news.
gobies. Yeah.
That's good news that they eat those
I
things.
caught a bass in the same goby on the same hook about an hour before. And I just left the goby on there, threw it back out, and pulled this in.
I'll be darned. Cool. What's the NYPD? Is any?
No connection. Mom went there on vacation, brought it back. I
Cool
was
hat.
in military police and then the U.S. Coast Guard for a while, so kind of ties into the
Yeah.
law enforcement thing.
Well, neat. Good.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing your job for the country. All right. Larry Joseph III from Lincoln Park. Scattered Shots on our website is where we post viewer mail and my answers. Here are a few excerpts from comments regarding last week's show. Lyle Ballard from Armada says, your comments on media misinformation were right on, but be careful not to lump all the non-hunting media reporters together. Not all are against hunting. Some are actually on our side. All we have to do is find them and explain our side of the story. Keith Weir from West Bloomfield wrote, I am in complete agreement with your comments about misinformation put out by journalists who produce eye-catching headlines to draw interest to their articles. I am sick and tired of them playing on words to get your attention. My comments about the photo caption of the soldier resting his rifle on his shoulder and not aiming it in a ready position drew this comment from James Triantaflos from Lansing, who said, I enjoy watching you point out the errors that pop up from time to time in the newspaper, but this is not one of them. You are right that the soldier was not aiming correctly, but he did have it aimed down the alley. You were wrong to chastise the journalist. Larry Little from Livonia was the second man in. He said, you made a huge blunder regarding the serviceman holding the assault rifle. There is a spring in the stock that takes up most of the recoil. What other misinformation do you give out? Maybe you could change your name to Dan Rather Trost. Ooh. My comment that the headline calling doves targets fuels the fires of anti-hunters got William Edwards from Grosse Pointe Farms to write, Your commentary on the title of the story written by Eric Sharp was completely off target. Anything fired at becomes a target and does not denote the reason. From Lincoln Park, I'm not going to identify the writer, but he says, I believe one of the most ridiculous statements of your career was comparing people who kill for fun to Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer. I personally don't eat what I shoot or catch. It gets donated. I'm out there for the sport. That doesn't make me some kind of sadistic killer. I really wish you would correct this on your next show. On Homeland Security and Hunters, Robert Douglas from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia said, a neighbor of mine just spent 7 days in jail on a visit to your country because he brought some collector cartridges to your country. He did not have a gun, just the cartridges. What is this all about? I'm concerned because I'm hoping to deer hunt in Menominee County this year with my uncle and hoped to buy a gun and ammo there instead of taking one across the border. And Mike Garton from Hazel Park asks, a friend of mine told me that law enforcement agents do not need a reason to stop you within 25 miles of an international border. Also, it is against the law to transport a gun of any kind within this zone unless you are an agent of the government. Is this misinformation? I don't know the answer to the last two questions, which is, oops, out of time. See you next week.